I'm genuinely curious to know why we are still using the same weight scales and measurement requirements for a woman in her 50s as we are for women in their 20s. So let me explain what I'm thinking. So recently I did a BMI DEXA scan at my local gym, and it told me that I am 10 kilos of body fat overweight, that I need to lose 10 kilos effectively. So in my 20s I weighed 64 kilos on average. In my 20s I weighed 64 kilos, and even into my 30s. In my early 40s I went up to 68 kilos. And then in the couple of years after my turning 50, I went up to 74 kilos. So effectively in about a 2 to 3 year period of time, I gained an extra 6 kilos. That's right, yeah, 6 kilos. So all up from my 20s, I've gained 10 kilos. The thing is, we know that our body fat makes estrone, estrogen, which is it's doing to replace the fact now that our ovaries are no longer producing estradiol estrogen. So if that 10 kilos of body weight, which they are now saying the average woman will put on 5 to 10 kilos of body fat during her perimenopausal to menopause transition, if we know that, and if I can't get a GLP-1 to help me to lose this extra weight that I've put on, even if it is just the last 6 kilos that I've put on in the last few years, why are we asking women to do that? Because all I know how to do is the calories in, calories out, making sure I get enough exercise. Overall, my diet and exercise have not changed that drastically, except for the fact that in my early 50s I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, so low thyroid function, which made me extremely fatigued. And so of course going to the gym and doing as much exercise probably didn't happen. But I don't think that my weight gain happened in isolation. I kind of think that that extra kilos of body fat would have come on anyway. So I now weigh 74 kilos. I'm told I need to lose 10 kilos of body fat, which would take me back down to 64 kilos, which is what I was in my 20s. Is that actually really reasonable to expect these days? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I'm genuinely curious. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I mean, aesthetically, I'd love to be 10 kilos lighter. I'd even be happy to drop the 6 kilos I've gained in the last few years. But it's not that easy. And it's not like I'm a huge overeater. I've always been fairly careful with my diet and my exercise. I've made sure to get good nutrition. So maybe, is it possible that if we haven't paid enough attention to women's health over the last few years, are we still potentially holding them to a standard that a 20 and 30 and 40-year-old might have been okay to fit into, but in your 50s plus in menopause is no longer okay? I'm just wondering whether some rules or some parameters need to change, and if there's any doctors out there who, could maybe shed some light on that, I would really be grateful, because I'm grappling with this and I'm struggling. I've got friends on GLP-1s, but they have no appetite anymore. And I can't get a GLP-1 because I don't fit into the criteria. I'm not fat enough. I'm not overweight enough yet to be considered. So that's fine. I understand, and I'll just keep trying to do my exercise. But I tell you what else, I'm now grappling with more injuries than I've ever had in my life before. I've now got, I sprained my ankle last week wearing sneakers, walking down the street. I've had tennis elbow, golfer's elbow. I've had some sort of a knee injury. So in the last 3 years, collectively, I've been more injured than in the last 30 years, 40 years of my life altogether. So this is getting harder now. So curiously, just putting it out there, and I'm wondering if anyone else has had similar questions, similar thoughts. Because yeah, like I said, I'd be happy to be 10 kilos lighter, but it's not the same anymore. And quite frankly, one more thing, I'm done with dieting. I've spent 40 years of my life on a diet or rigid exercise program, and I'm done. Honestly, I'm not that interested. I'll have that extra piece of cake if I want to now. So I think we need to find some middle ground here, because I don't think what we currently have as parameters for women is actually okay. I think we can do better. I think we need more advice in this area.